This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
You have questions? We have answers. OL AM and 95.9 FM. WOL, Washington, D.C. W240 DJ, Washington, 95.9.
Peace, Quan. I'm about to do the Carl Nelson show, all right?
UKYS, HD3, Washington.
I'm just on hold.
HD3, Waldorf,
They have another guest on, but I'm supposed to be coming on in a minute. All right.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management. Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
Now, thank you for standing. So Professor Griff is on deck. Before we get to Professor Griff, the question, attorney, was that can employers force you to take the vaccination, the COVID-19 vaccine? Can you be said if you'd be fine?
What I was going to say, Carl, is becoming one of the major issues of the next few months because people are talking about mandates to wear a mask. That is going to be subservient to the legal issue that's going to come up when employers begin to say that you can't come back unless you've been vaccinated, or certain stores say you can't go in because you haven't been vaccinated. That's going to be a constitutional test that hasn't been raised yet in terms of the power of the government to regulate and the power of certain individual private businesses to make those decisions versus the power of the individual to have his individual rights protected as to whether or not he wants an invasion or not invasion. Now, a lot of people don't realize, I think of the smallpox. We've had this in this country years ago when that was mandatory. And now I don't remember exactly how it came out of litigation, but I think it's litigation.
Hello. I'm on the phone working right now. How you doing? Okay, what time?
My knowledge been determined by the courts yet, but that's given me the major issue coming up.
Right. Civil rights and constitutional attorneys, and Age White Pettit. Attorney Pettit, what's the title of your book again?
Under Color of Law, by Age White Pettit, Under Color of Law, put out by international publishers, and it can be gotten in the bookstore, it can be gotten on the computer, will be purchased on the computer in terms of Amazon.com or your major bookstores.
All right. Thank you, Counselor.
Came out 2 to 5 years ago. I predicted what was happening in this country in terms of the right-wing movement.
Right, and as we can see now, we're going to keep an eye on too on this Brandon Mitchell fella, and for sharing your expertise with us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Carl. My pleasure.
All right, Mr. Attorney Age White Pettit, based in Baltimore. Let's go to Professor Griff. Welcome back to WOL Radio.
Oh, greetings, Mr. Carl Nelson. How you doing?
Good. Well, we're till we find out. I want to get your opinion on this. You know, one of the jurors who convicted Derek Chauvin for murder, he actually about attending protests before the jury selection. Now it turns out that his brother, Brandon Mitchell, he attended a Black Lives Matter rally last summer, and even wore Black Lives Matter clothing, keep your knees off our necks or something to that effect. Now, this may upend the entire process of Chauvin's trial. Of course, they're going to call for a mistrial. And I just want to get your thoughts on that. Because I was telling the attorney and trying to figure out, is there a way he can cover up? It doesn't look good so far.
I mean, my thing is, don't they have to vet the jurors? You know, they go through a whole jury selection process. And then everyone's not going to bring everything to the table. Whatever you don't bring to the table, I'm sure they're going to find out eventually. But I think on both sides, first of all, that brother should have thought about how important this trial is, not only to the individual and to the individual's family that lost their life, but just how about us as a people and then the nation? You're supposed to disclose that up front.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, because he was asked a question, so now it appears that he lied. I'm going to say it appeared because we don't know when the judge calls him in what he's going to say. He was asked directly if he was in any rallies or protests, especially Black Lives Matter rally, and he said no. And so I don't know how he's going to spin it because right now the conservatives are up in arms and they're happy, they're gleeful, and they figure that the Chauvin's going to be on his way home pretty soon.
Wow. That is really, really, really devastating. But I think they're playing their cards very carefully, simply because the decision that they make in this case, either way, is going to affect the average person on a global scale. And because we saw how people responded, and people was on pins and needles, even with them giving us the actual verdict. It was almost like the O.J. Simpson thing played over again, exacerbating the tensions in America and what's going on with this, how police are handling people. So I know a lot of people was on pins and needles waiting for the verdict.
Yeah, and you heard where he admonished the Congresswoman Waters for what she said, and this is kind of mild to what she said and what this gentleman actually did. Then he goes on Good Morning America and talks about how emotional it took out of him, having to sit on that jury all this time. So obviously, when the judge looks at all of that, looks at the full picture, it's going to say, well, was this dude trying to, this Brandon Mitchell, I'll tell you his name, he was juror number 52, whether he played them to get on the jury and then, maybe write a book and or do something and make some money out of it.
Right.
And lied and got out, and then Chauvin gets a new trial. And then we were back where we started. So,
right.
It doesn't look good right now this afternoon.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And we're gonna have to just kind of like, I wouldn't say hold our breath. Let's hold our spirit, because we know and understand the history of this country when it comes to, in terms of Black people getting justice. And how do we know that the defense attorneys didn't kind of know this all along, was using this as their trump card?
Hey, excellent point. Yeah,
right.
Could have known it all along.
Exactly.
Wow. Deep stuff there, man. Here's the notion, though. Stay off of Facebook. Don't put all your business on Facebook, man. Come on.
Exactly.
That's how he got busted.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like he couldn't wait, because I think he was the first one to just kind of break his silence and come on out. Attention is the new currency.
Yeah, sadly, it is.
Yeah.
Well, you I'll ask you about, though. Joe Biden's been in office for 100 days so far, and everybody's giving him a passing grade. How do you see it? Did you get an A, B, or C for you, or even a D?
No, I think Joe Biden gets a D for deceptiveness. That's what Joe Biden gets, because this whole idea of lift every voice. And I'm still waiting for the voices to be lifted. I'm still waiting for what voices are he lifting that's going to speak in terms of garnishing the amount of Black energy and Black votes that he received from our people. I'm looking for tangibles. I'm looking for those things that he promised. And in the 100 days in, I don't see them. Me, Ray Charles, and Stevie Wonder had that conversation. They don't see it either. We just don't see it.
I got some folks on hold. I guess they want to talk to you, but my bad. My screen was working. 800-450-7876. China's calling from Minnesota. China's on line one. China, you still with us?
Yes, I am, and thank you, Carl. And I want to say to this young man right now who we're talking about, I thought the same thing. Maybe a defense attorney might have knew this all along. Because why is it all of a sudden this video is surfacing now? So I got a gut feeling too, young man, that the defense attorney knew about this young man.
Right.
I just really do feel that way. And heaven forbid that they throw this case out, because, oh my gosh, this is awful. I can't believe it. But Carl, thank you so much. There's so much.
No, China, before you go, because you're up there in that area, Minnesota. Has this story been reverberating around that area?
Repeat it again. I'm sorry, I had to put you on speaker.
Is it making the news in that area? Because you're in Minneapolis, right? Minnesota area?
But I listened to you. I had to call my brother in New York and let him know, and call another person who lives up in Claremont City. They didn't even know. I said, you guys need to turn on 1450 because I haven't heard anything from anyone that I'm around that has even heard of this yet. I'm about to tell them, okay? And it's just disturbing. But again, Mr. Nelson, I agree with that young man. I believe that they might have had this and they're using it. I just really do. They do, because how would you, even if this young, because I was kind of concerned too why this young man came and spoke, the juror, 52, I guess that's his number, was speaking about it. I said, that's interesting. So, and then, but when you made it aware of his name and everything, because my thought was when I'm waiting online and I was hearing about it before I got online, and I said, okay, so when did it surface and how did they know who the juror was? This was my concern. I said, but then it was, so it was almost like I said, why are you out here talking about the juror? Why are you speaking on it? That was kind of concerning to me. It really was. So I just think that this is a game of chess, okay? And they're doing it again, all right? And I just want to say this to all the folks that listen to your station, and I hope, because I'm passing you around to everyone, this station. We got some really big race issues, okay? And you're all over. And I've been from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm going to say it again. It's terrible up here with racism. It's terrible. Prejudice, racism, whatever you want to call it. It is terrible. It's just awful. And I thank you, Carl Nelson, for your show, for bringing. I'm just so overwhelmed by everything right now. And I go to George Floyd's memorial space every day. I visit it, maybe twice a day. Because, again, it could have been my child or my grandson. Right. And people need to get in touch with that. And another thing I want to say is this. We have an issue up here, which is probably statewide to stage 2, where they're building up these apartments and everything, and they're calling them affordable housing, and they're not for us folk. We can't even hardly get up in it. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if there's any of us in it. But we need to start even protesting that because, see, our money goes into that. And I spoke to this. I do my due diligence. I will make calls. Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny. Johnny calling from Minneapolis. And our guest is Minister of Information for Public Entity, former Minister of Information, Professor Griff. We'll take a short break. Take more of your questions for Professor Griff right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL, where information is power.
All right, family, while we're on hold, I want to thank everyone for coming on. It's once a month. Once a month, Carl Nelson has me on, and we kind of discuss whatever it is that's kind of going on. And this is terrestrial radio, but I think they're online also. But it's good to hear these kind of conversations. And sometimes I feel relieved that I'm on this end of it, being interviewed instead of trying to find someone to interview on Serious Minds. So thank you very much for supporting the platform. Thank you, Quan, for always being on point with what you do, moderating. Thanks to everyone that comes on and support, for the donations. Great Filibuster, Double B, Johnny Taylor, and everyone else that come on. Thanks to everyone that when the YouTube channel shut down, we just rocked to another channel and we still kept it going. Thanks to everyone on IG that come on and lend support. Thank you very much. All right. Little Goddess, thank you very much for your donation. Really appreciate it.
Over the past several decades, there have been numerous Black campaigns, but still only about 3% of that $1.3 trillion circulates back to the Black community. So let's try it again. Each week, we will identify 3 Black-owned businesses on Tuesday and spend money with them for the week. And then on the next Tuesday, we will identify 3 more in our local community. The businesses for this week are Pediatric Dentist in Washington, D.C., PediatricDentist.com, Sarah's Peace and Love Home Healthcare, PeaceandLoveHHC.com, American Vaccine Center. Little Goddess, I said the same thing because I wrote it down. I said affordable health care, affordable housing. What does that really mean? And what's the percentage of what you have to earn in order to qualify for affordable housing? Because they act like white people don't get Section 8 and all this other kind of stuff, and welfare, and food stamps, and they do.
I think we're coming back, family.
Initially, including the virus that causes COVID-19.
Yeah.
24 keeps bacteria for 24 hours, touch after touch.
The lady Don Peace, what's good with you?
24. Touch after touch, it doesn't give up. Being in the Army National Guard is about more than serving your
Sage of
country.
Lotus,
It's about being
what's
there for
good?
your community when your neighbors need you most. The Army
Ryan
National Guard
Higgins.
makes college affordable, and serving part-time can help you graduate debt-free. Do you want to stay close to friends and family? The Guard allows you to serve close to home. Serving part-time in the Army National
30% of your gross income.
you want. Learn more by visiting nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Maryland Army National Guard. Aired by the Maryland, D.C., Delaware Broadcasters Association at this station. 1450 WOL.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show.
On Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
Thanks for all your resource, I guess, is the Minister of Information, the former Minister of Information for Public Enemy. His name is Professor Griff. He once had a song out called F the Police. And people thought that was outrageous. But Professor Griff, I gotta ask you this. China from Minneapolis, up there where George Floyd incident took place, says she agrees with you. Says they're playing chess. If that's the case, that this was a sort of whole card, if that's the case, what will be our next move?
Well, my thing is, I don't think a lot of us was focused enough to even. I don't think a lot of us was focused enough to even understand the other moves that they made. when Maxine Waters said what she said, they was grasping at straws. You understand what I'm saying? Even to try to get it thrown out based on what she said. So now you know they're going to use this. So I think China was right. This is a game of chess, but at the same time, this is also an age-old trick called smoke and mirrors. And we do have to understand that they will pull anything out of the hat in order to see justice for one of their own. And we have to understand that particular dynamic. And I'm not just saying this just because it may sound cool or, politically correct to say right now, because they've always done this. There's always have a history. You can go as far back as the Emmett Till. And that trial, they were sitting in there. Everyone know these gentlemen did this, and they know the woman was lying, but yet they still went ahead with the trial, knowing the outcome. So we have seen and witnessed them do this time and time again, over and over and over. We have a history of them doing this, especially when it comes to law enforcement. And just one correction, Carl, it was NWA that did F the Police. Public Enemy, we did shut them down.
Shut them down. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
800-450-7876. Got a bunch of folks want to talk to you, Rick. Derek's calling from South Carolina. He's on line 3. Derek, you're on with Professor Gray.
Hello, good afternoon, guys.
Greetings, sir.
How you doing, Professor?
I'm all right, maintaining.
That's just that. Good to hear. Be on with you guys, especially be on with a legend like you, Griff. I'm calling because I just want to make a comment on the jury for the George Floyd case, and I think we're getting ahead of ourselves in a way, but that's because of the trauma that we've been put through being Black in America, the lack of justice that we had to endure being Black in America. We're always, once we get something good, we're waiting for them to do something to upset it, What I wanted to comment on was that during the jury selection, the prosecutor already, they knew this video was out there. The question that they asked the juror about his participation was over the type of rally that it was. They asked him, do you or someone close to you participate in any demonstration or marches against police brutality that took place in Minneapolis after George Floyd's death? And rightfully so, he answered no, because the march that he took place in was in Washington, D.C. Then the other question was, other than what you already answered, have you or anyone close to you participated in any protest about police use of force or police brutality? And again, he answered no, because the march or the rally that he attended was the anniversary for Martin Luther King's March on Washington. It had nothing to do with anything about police brutality or use of force or anything dealing with the George Floyd case. So he answered correctly. So I don't see how they would be able to take this and turn it out to be anything other than what the verdict already is. I think what we just really have to wait for is to see how this judge is going to bring down the sentence. But again, it's more or less the reason why we're having this discussion about this jury is because we're always, in waiting of what they're going to do towards our goodwill. Because we had to deal with them for so long, and all the things that we have to go through with them. The moment we get a ounce of something called justice, they come along and do something to carry that. So I think that's more or less trauma of what we've gone through while we're feeling this way about this particular situation. But according to the juror and his according to those particular answers, I don't see where we would have any problem with them still saying all three of these conditions you're going to say timely.
But Derek.
Derek, thanks for your call.
Okay.
Hey, Grace.
Okay, but Derek, based on what we're hearing, not only from you, but what we're reading and what we're hearing from different sources, you talk and you speak of the trauma and us kind of like jumping the gun, so to speak. If we have a history of this happening to us, do we not have a right to at least, and I don't think we're being too emotional about it, do we not have a right to at least be suspect of a people and a system that have consistently and historically have done Black people in? I think it's a healthy paranoia. I think it's very smart on our part to, like China said, know and understand the game of chess and how they play it. And I think this is very intelligent on our part. Very intelligent on our part. And even the degree of intelligence that you're bringing to the conversation in reference to the answers that you said you know and understand how the gentleman answered those particular questions. I would have answered them the same way. If I weren't at those particular rallies, then I would have been up in front and honest and like, no, the rally I was at was something different.
Derek, I think he's gone. 800-450-7876. But Griff, you had on a shirt that says keep your knee off our neck. You think that implicates him further? I think it implicates him, yes, simply because we know and understand since January 6th, they've been combing the internet for individuals and troublemakers and people that might want to do harm at these particular rallies, especially when they have labeled Black Lives Matter as a terrorist organization to a certain degree. They attribute Black Lives Matter, the violence to Black Lives Matter, which we know that's not true. There's some individuals I know that's in Black Lives Matter, and these people are nonviolent, as nonviolent as Dr. King. So to say Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, or the organization breeds violent individuals that go to these protests and burn down police cars and burn buildings and smash windows, that is incorrect. That is incorrect if you do a little bit of history. So, but to say that, then you could say you saw this gentleman in a t-shirt, or you saw him with a placard, or a local news team interviewed him, and this is what he said, and this is the t-shirt that he was wearing, to use that to throw the whole trial and the decision of the trial and the verdict all out of whack. 800-450-7876. Let's go to Houston. Rick's waiting for us on line 4. Rick, you're on with Professor Griff.
Yeah, hello, guys. Professor Griff.
Greetings.
When I first read that story about the guy in the T-shirt, first thing I said, my mind is playing tricks on me. And but I tell you that the one point that we forgot is that if Chauvin had been convicted, the Fed were ready to arrest him immediately on civil rights charges. So if a mistrial is declared, the Feds will arrest him immediately. They were ready to charge him on civil rights charges if he was acquitted. Let's keep that in mind when we discuss it. But personally, I don't think the judge will throw this case out because of that one juror. But I do believe he's a plant because he's the only juror that came out and spoke out publicly. Then next thing you know, he's caught wearing this T-shirt. But yeah, the feds are ready to arrest Chauvin. If it was a mistrial, if he was acquitted. I just want to put everyone out there.
Thanks for
okay.
Griff, he says, man, do you think it could be true that he's there deliberately and they knew and then they just played the card when it was, really for real?
There's a saying that we have in the hood, and we say money talks and BS runs the marathon. Money can move people in some strange directions, and we've seen that. And we've seen it happening over and over again. I'm not sure whether he was the youngest. I was looking at the lineup of the jurors, and they said the age ranged from 20 to 60. And I was just trying to kind of get some information about this particular gentleman because I just heard about this like earlier today. And like the other gentleman said, I just kind of shook my head. I'm like, nah, this can't be true. Because in my mind, I know they vet the jurors and they kind of, who they're selecting. And they're trusting them to be honest. But each juror, each individual.
Jump in here for a second, though, because there's one. I think it might have been China in Minneapolis, or it might have been Rick in Houston who said it. Could he be a plant? And using him as a black person as the one on the technicality to get Chauvin off, because black people, you can't complain. He's one of your guys who did it.
To be honest with you, and to answer that question very directly, yes, he could be. Yes. I mean, from the outstart, how he found his way into to having that number, juror number 52, we will probably never know. This is the dirty, dirty game of politics that we play with the judicial system, ran by criminals.
Well, hold on a sec. We got some folks across the country want to talk to you. I want to get into some other stuff as well, but we got to take a short break. Folks, you want to speak to Professor Griff, reach out to us. 800-450-7876. Get you in. We'll take your calls after this quick break on FM 95.9. Well, where information is power.
All right, family. Me and Carl was talking last week, and we was going to talk about the some of the points and counterpoints of the secret meeting that changed hip hop, and then we were going to talk about is rap killing hip hop. Coming on the show today and having this conversation, which I would never say I'm not prepared to have it, but it's one of these conversations that kind of happen every single day with me, because these are the things that that we discuss. These are the things that we should be discussing. All right. So yeah. So just bear with us for a moment. All right. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that this guy was a plant? Do y'all think he was a plant? This week at Shaw Bates Studio, 713 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard in Atlanta, I'm going to be doing Tricknology. This is called Guns N' Roses edition. We're going to be talking about safety. We're going to be talking about training, education, and legal protection. And then we're actually going to the range. No, I didn't see Black Dot's video. I mean, I didn't see his interview, no. Oh, give thanks. The lady Don. You was at the gun show?
Nelson Show, Washington, D.C.
Hold on.
1450 WOL Radio.
I understand this, folks. I guess this Professor Griff, not what we actually were going to talk about. It sort of fell in our lap because it's a big news story. Just joining us, the judge maybe overturned the ruling in that case because of one of the jurors, juror number 52, Brandon Mitchell, during voir dire. That's when they questioned the prospective panelist, and they asked him if he attended a rally. And he said no. It turns out he did, and it turns out that he actually lied. So the prosecution has a chance to throw out the trial or ask for a mistrial. And certainly radio is all over this, and they, you know, they were upset because they thought black folks won when Chauvin was convicted. They want to see Chauvin get off, of course. So now they're going to probably petition the judge if the judge doesn't ask was juror 52, and then ask him his question, ask him again deliberately. Did he know or did he not know? Or as attorney Dwight Pettit says, he misunderstood the question, you know, but it doesn't look good. Let's put it that way. 800-450-7866. Go ahead, Griff.
Carl, I just wanted to ask you something. Even though this particular situation came up, does that make him less guilty, though? Does that make Derek Chauvin less guilty? And why is it that we can't believe our eyes on what we all saw? And does this speak?
Again, it goes back to what you talked about earlier. You know, every time we figure out a way to win, they move the goalpost.
Exactly.
So now we won on this. They're going to use a technicality to try and get Chauvin out because they know, you know, some people are prepping because they'd like to see disturbances in the street. They like to see that. You know, it's not our folks who like to see. Let me just put it that way. I like to see people acting crazy in the streets, and they think this will probably happen if this thing is overturned. I hope it doesn't. Let me just say that.
Right.
Say that much.
Right. I mean, in the rules of basketball, in every single game that Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said that we should look at and put it under the microscope, they've changed the rules. Like I've said many times, even on your broadcast, that, you know, they invented this thing called the three-point line because when black people were allowed to play basketball, you know, just shooting shots from the foul line wasn't enough. So they had to create a three-point line. Then they had to raise the rim higher because black men were flying on the weekend. And now they're coming up with new rules that it's only a certain amount of time the black man can stay in the air.
Wow. and then don't forget they stopped Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from dunking. They eradicated the dunk.
Exactly.
But he was playing.
So a few other Shaq and a few other people came along and just destroyed the whole rim and the backboard.
Yeah. That's what they do.
Exactly.
Thank you for pointing that out for us. 800-450-7876. Joy's in Cincinnati. Joy's on line one. Joy, you're on with Professor Griff.
Greetings, and thank you, Mr. Nelson, for taking the call. I do have a question for the guest, but entirely different. But before I do it, since you're talking about this particular subject and what's coming out, the reason it's kind of funny to me is because I remember that day when the earth came down and Negroes celebrating and calling in here, and you had a whole lot of callers that kept saying things like, well, I don't know why everyone's being so negative. I mean, let us celebrate this. This is a victory. They kept using that V word. And I remember whoever that one kind of uppity lawyer is that you had on, if you say this isn't a victory, I mean, you're putting down the people who have marched in the street. And I was just like cracking up, like, Negroes, y'all dancing already. And then nothing. And this is what I'm talking about. Now, it's all this mess that y'all are saying is coming over the wire now, and it's cracking me the heck up because that is what we are talking about. It's a joke. And if y'all think this black guy is the first guy to do something except that's a jury person, then you obviously ain't been paying attention. Right. I mean, there's so many things that we can cite that goes on in jury and jury tampering things. And it's known about, and those cases still stand. So it just comes back to the system, and it's hilarious to me. Now, on to the question that I had for Mr. Griff here. So, I would hope that the brother would speak to this, and this has nothing to do. Hear me out. Not asking you to speak to little turban wearing Nick Cannon per se.
Now, you don't know I'm not going to answer this question. I see where this is going.
The Nazis and him, made a little boy Nick go on this long apology. But bigger than the apology tour, Mr. Nick had to come out of his pocket big time to appease the pale Ashkenazi. And so my question to Mr. Griff would be, do you have any suggestions how, and or maybe even example scenarios, how we as Black folks can start really requiring this same type of thing? I mean, I want to see white folks and others come out and be led around on a leash just like they did little boy Nick. And this ain't a put down to him per se, so I don't need Mr. Griff to speak per se to Nick himself as much as the example that was made of him. How can we do that as Black folks? Next time somebody says the wrong thing that hurts our little feelings, I want us to drag them around just like they did little Nick. I mean, put that noose around him, lead him around on every talk show, and then not just the talk show. I want the money. I want the money to come out, and I don't mean to know Gay Lives Matter. I mean Black Lives Matter movement. I want the money to go where we want the money to go, and I want that same energy of us to do to them as was done to this little boy Nick Cannon. So I'd love to hear your take on some of that and the power of the option of the.
All right, you're repeating stuff, so we're gonna let you go. Thanks for your question, though. Griff?
Yeah, I respect the fact that she has really put that together to ask that question, a very necessary question that we need to talk about. But I truly don't believe this is the platform, sis, and I would love to have that dialogue. I just can't have that dialogue on this platform.
All right, and Griff, tell them how they can hear you, because I know you can do it on your platform.
Every single night on Serious Minds, RNTV, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and right across social media. And I do have those kinds of conversations in my Serious Cipher study group that we have. We bring all kinds of issues to the table and we kind of openly discuss them. Now, whether Zoom is going to be eardropping, that's ear hustling, that's on them. But we have to have those particular discussions. It's just that we have to be very mindful of the platform that we have those discussions.
Thank you, sir. 800-450-7876. Rick's in Atlanta. It's on line 5. Rick, you're on with Professor Griff.
Hey, Brother Carl. Thank you for taking my call. How's it going, Brother Griff?
Oh, greetings, good brother. How you feel?
Great. Well, just going back to the Derek Chauvin trial, they're definitely playing chess. And it's funny because they vet every juror with a fine-tooth comb as far as anything that could jeopardize that trial. And I truly, this is just my belief, that they had this information, the defense had this information about this juror before this trial even probably started. And I believe he was truly a blast, and I think what we could do from this point to get it, I guess, a front and ahead of them, maybe not, just to kind of catch up to where they are, find out when they got this information about this juror being at this rally, find out when they got that information, how they got it, and so, because there has to be a time and date where they receive this information. And that will truly get to a place to expose this wicked, crooked system. Because I was watching the People Against the Klan on CNN, and it was going back to the trial where Emmett Till was murdered down in Mississippi. And it's funny you set up that's Professor Griff.
Okay.
In that trial, there was an all-white jury. This took place, I believe it was Mississippi. And I'd be willing to bet every last one of those members on that trial were part of the Klan. They just had that persona about them, and then Emmett Till's murderers were let free. So it's just crazy how this system can be used always to benefit them. You know what I'm saying? It's always to work against us. So we got to find out, I think, a solution to, like I said, get in front of this, find out when they got this information about this juror, because they're obviously playing chess with us. Find out when they got it today, and we can kind of navigate or circumvent what it is that they're trying to do here. Because it's obviously that this juror was
right. So just let me speak to something that you said, because the young lady before you mentioned the system also. We have to keep in the front of our minds that the system was not designed by us. The system wasn't designed to see black people free. The system is not broken. The system is working fine. And if we haven't read the fine print and look deep enough between the lines in what they're saying, and listen between the lines in what they're saying, we'll think this is something new that they're pulling out of their hat, and it's really truly nothing new, like you said. So the system is not broken. The system is working absolutely fine, and this particular thing that we're going through right now is one of the things that's built into the integral mainframe of the system. We just didn't dig through the hard drive deep enough.
We're going to take a short break. I'll let you explain how that system works to our listeners. Folks, you want to join us in this conversation with Professor Griff? Reach out to us at 800-450-7876. We'll take your phone calls after this quick break right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL, where information is power.
All right, family. Y'all have any questions about what's going on, or any comments? Hold on.
Looking at an accident on DC 295 in the southbound direction at East Capitol, already within the heavy volume coming down from Burroughs Avenue as you head to Pennsylvania Avenue. Slow in the northbound direction right now as well from the 11th Street Bridge up to Eastern Avenue. There's some traffic signals that are malfunctioning in Northwest DC at the intersection of 3rd Street and D Street. Use caution there. Also in Southeast, there's police activity that shuts down.
In case someone in the jury was allegedly in black lines, so tried to say.
Showing compassion and give hope to a family in extreme poverty. Share your $40 one-time gift when you text the word "gift" to 83393. I'm Tony Thornton for News
Officer, overseer, I got you.
Information is power.
Basic common sense, fam. The system was set up so they can win.
An IRS debt resolution partner. It's simple. Betsy Neal and her team of tax professionals genuinely care about me and the financial well-being of my family. They are not like the other out-of-state tax companies who claim to give you a fresh start, but all you end up with is a stale finish. The TaxBiz USA family lives, works, and worships right here in the area and has 2 offices to meet your tax resolution needs. Those other guys are just in the client retaining business and not the tax resolution.
The American government is doing what they are supposed to do. Okay. If you don't understand racism, white supremacy, and everything else, only confuse you. Dr. Neely Fuller.
Also visit them online at taxbizusa.com. Stop wasting your time and money with those other guys and schedule an appointment with TaxBiz USA. Their number again is 240-493-4822. TaxBiz USA, your local tax resolution partner. Gotta finish this today.
All right. So everyone on Facebook, I think they only give me an hour. So if we get cut off, come on over to YouTube and meet us over here. All right.
When you apply for a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
On the web and social media at WOL DC News. And then now back to the Carl Nelson Show. Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
Speaking of this, folks, I guess it's Professor Griff discussing a lot of stuff. Actually, we weren't going to discuss this, but this news broke right before we got on the air. And the fact that you just joined us, a juror in the Derek Chauvin trial may have jeopardized the guilty verdict by attending a rally last year. wearing Get Your Need Off Our Necks t-shirt. It's just raising questions about whether he told the truth during jury selection. Some people say he was a plant. Some people say we had an attorney Dwight Petty said he may not have understood the questioning during ordeal. That's what they call it when they screen the prospective jurors. So, but it could be a cause for a mistrial. So we're going to discuss that in a moment. But before we do that, though, let me just remind you some of the other folks going to be stopping by before the week's out. We're going to hear from Pan-Africanist Baba Amafika, who's also an educator by trade, and also chematologist Dr. Charles Finch, who's one of the smartest black men out there.
YouTube.com/C/Serious Minds RNTV.
Chematologist. A lot of questions to ask him. And also, holistic Dr. Scott Whitaker is going to be here. So if you're in the DMV, radio locked on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL. So, Professor Griff, I'm going to let you finish your response to Rich's question. You were telling us about the system.
So, the system, our now ancestors, Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, and our living elder, Dr. Neely Fuller, kind of laid it out, among others. Our ancestor, Dr. John Henry Clark. Going back to what Dr. Francis Cress Wilson gave us in her fundamental working definition of racism, white supremacy, it talks about the 9 areas of people activity: the economics, education, entertainment, the labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war for the ultimate purpose of white genetic survival. We have to understand some of these 9, and I would like to add, if I can, health. But in the area of law, when it pertains to the system has to maintain itself. And if the system is to maintain themselves on a genetic level, they have to be able to control the area of law. Since they've set up the criminal justice system, of course, it has to work in their favor, Carl. And as simple as that. That is the system under which we're under right now in the area of law given to us by Dr. Francis Cress Wilson in her book, The ISIS Papers. So this is the system that I speak about. Neely Fuller says, if you do not understand racism, white supremacy, and how it works, everything else, I'm going to underline everything else, it will only confuse you. And that's what we're seeing right now. You made mention several times that he may not have understood the question. But I think the prosecuting attorney should have made sure in vetting him that that all of the jurors understand. But understand this, Carl. Don't these people hire private detectives? Private investigators working for?
Yeah.
Okay, so they do look into the background. People are walking around thinking that they will not look into your entire life with a microscope if you get selected to sit on the jury as juror number 52, and I'm sure they've done that. So now the question that we beg to have someone answer, if not you or I or someone else, was he really truly a plant then if they vetted him like they should have vetted him? If the private investigators did their job, was he truly a plant then? We have to start looking at that with a more powerful magnifying glass than what we're looking at it, and begin to do what China and other people have said on here thus far, is begin to know and understand the game of chess that they're playing. We're bringing a tennis racket to a game of chess.
Right. This begs the question, if he was a plant, which side was he working for?
Exactly. And then what is the end game and the outcome? And then if he was, and on all 3 counts, Derek Chauvin was found guilty, on which one of the counts are you going to throw out? Unless it's right across the board. And the other question we need to ask, is this going to affect the upcoming trial of the other 3 officers?
Wow, it's going deep right there. That's interesting because, the picture was on Facebook. So they didn't have to really dig too hard to find it. I mean, you look at their Facebook profiles and you'd have seen it. And I'm sure, like I think China said it, and you said it earlier, that they probably had this and knew it and held it as their whole card. And if they lost it, they're going to play it. This is what they're doing now.
Exactly. We've been on here for about 40 some odd minutes, and I've dug up enough information on this dude, and I'm just now hearing this today. So I'm like, come on, man. I'm sure if I can, as a basic researcher, I'm sure they have.
Wow. We have some more folks want to talk to you. 800-450-7876. Carl's calling us. He's in Long Beach. I think it's Long Beach, California. Long Beach, New York. Carl?
Yes, Long Beach, California. First off, I gotta thank you, brothers. As I said before, I feel like I'm listening to Lester Middleton interview. You guys make my year. Anyway, I got to thinking, I'm glad Brother Griff brought it up about their law, and it reminds me of the tagline of a movie called Star Chamber. And it said something like they hid our justice, they took our justice and hid it in their law. And it got me thinking about our frame of reference. When we say the word the government, the law, and I got to thinking it's theirs, irrespective of the fact that we're unfortunately deeply ingrained in it. At the end of the day, it's going to be theirs. And this situation that happened got me thinking about, this is about setting precedent. Not just the fact that there's a plant or a possible plant. Can you imagine either way this goes? It's a win-win situation for those either that were knowingly that this guy did it or even unknowingly. Irrespective.
Let's hope we didn't lose Carl. Seems like is he still there?
No, I think he's gone.
His line dropped. All right, Griff, you want to respond to anything that he said?
Yeah, the mere fact that I believe China or one of the other callers mentioned the game of chess. Well, we do have to understand in the game of chess, the white side of the chessboard always moves first. And then the distraction might be kicking your opponent under the table or calling them names. And this is the distraction that we're seeing out in the streets. It's a very necessary one, but this is why the vetting process, Carl, and understanding that they're playing chess and bring every conceivable experience on us winning in the past, bring it to the table. Bring all your experiences to the table with dealing with these people. And I'm saying that to say this, Carl, on the prosecuting attorney's side, they should have kind of looked forward in playing chess. They should have saw this coming and be 3 steps ahead of the game and been more vigilant in the vetting process. But who wins, Carl?
Remind our listeners, who wins. They always want to win, and they always want us to lose. Folks, before we go back to Griff, and I think Carl's back as well, Verizon and Urban One on us is celebrating women leading the change. And Praise 104.1 wants to celebrate hometown heroes who are leading the change in our community. Do this for me. Go to WLDCnews.com and nominate your hometown hero who's making a difference, and she will be recognized on the Urban One Honors website. Urban One Honors, hosted by Erica Campbell and Roland Martin, airs on TV One on Sunday, May the 16th. Starts at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. It's sponsored by 1450 WOL. So we have Carl back here from Long Beach, California.
Yes.
All right.
I got to thinking that this whole thing is probably about setting precedent. And what I mean by that is of how this thing goes. I got to thinking about all the so-called trials that they had in the past, like what happened in Monroe, North Carolina, all the way to Emmett Till. It doesn't matter. Irrespective, we're unfortunately tuned into their system. And it's going to work out for those who actually control. That's why I say it's their law and their courts, because irrespective, it's going to work out for those who have the political, economic, and militaristic power to go ahead and enforce whatever laws they put on the table for everybody else to go ahead and obey. So I got to thinking of this, and this is why I wanted to ask you, brothers, a question. Got me thinking about this. Brother Griff brought it up, as well as a previous brother, about this being a chess game, and I wholeheartedly agree. Unfortunately, because of our deeply ingrained into their system as a dependent, because we are, it kind of, as a chess game, it kind of gives me the reality of thinking that all the players or all the pieces on the table, including ours, are white. So irrespective, the whole chessboard has got the same pieces, and that's of our opponents. It's just we're playing against ourselves, thinking we're playing against them. So I got to thinking, it was a perfect world, and this is why I asked you, brothers, because again, you guys are like you make my week. In a perfect world, if you had a magic wand, would you, in order to ameliorate these things that we're in, would you go ahead and try to, if your magic wand, how to do it, to change all the minds of black folks to either try to change their system and trying to, remix or modify their system, even if it's in our advantage, or would you go ahead and try to change the minds of our folks to make to be less ingrained, or I should say to be more independent, militaristically, not militant, but militaristically independent, in any other way we can, irrespective of their system, to realize the fact that one day there may have to be conflict. So which would you, if you had a magic wand, would you want us to be deeply ingrained, or would you say, hey, let's just get ready for war?
I don't think I could choose either one of those because there's a lot of things that come along with that. If I had a magic wand, I would replace racism, white supremacy with a system of justice by any, every, and all means necessary.
All right. Interesting.
I thank you guys.
Oh, give thanks.
Well, since you're talking about militaristic, I know you've got a piece that you were telling people that we should be, prepared for self-defense and martial arts. Can you talk a little bit about
Yes, I can. And I think I've been saying this ever since the Public Enemy days. And the brother, the idea of the whole magic wand, he kind of laid it out. I think in 2021, we should already have that. His name is Carl from Long Beach. Carl, we should already have that built into the infrastructure, or the integral workings of who we are if we're conscious and coming together with other like-minded people. So bringing my skills of martial arts to the table should now become a program for all of us. Bringing whatever we bring to the table, we should have to each one teach 3. So of course, the idea, Carl, of having a self-defense mindset, even with the brother being pulled over in the Army uniform, the medic Rosario, which he's been pulled over again. I'm not sure if you realize that, Carl.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he was pulled over again because now they're targeting him. Same black truck, same uniform, different police officer, different set of circumstances. And they're gonna keep writing him tickets. And they're just doing this just to let you know that all of them stick together and they live by a code. And we have to understand that. So yeah, Carl, it's really simple. The militant radical mindset times 10 is what established America for white Europeans coming over, taking the land from black people and Native Americans. And we have to understand that that's what they respect and understand. Everyone's not going to approach it that way. And I just say, like I just finished saying, by any, every, and all means necessary, and whatever we have at our disposal.
So how can folks get more information about this, Griff?
I think they could contact me at www.professorgriff.me. That's my website. Or they can call me directly, 678-557-2919. That's 678-557-2919. And Carl, if I had the choice of taking that magic wand and turning it into a red, black, and green magic wand, I think I would wave it and change the mind of our people to learn how to do everything that our ancestors gave us, starting with Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and right on down the line.
We're going to take this short break right here on FM 95.9 AM 1450. WOL. Nation is power.
This is your favorite fly jock, Tom Jordan.
I wish I did have a damn magic wand. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't really want to know what I do if I had a magic wand. Y'all don't even understand. Some of y'all do. Some of y'all are here. Don't give me no damn magic wand. See, but you talk about somebody else's platform, somebody else's show. Terrestrial radio and what goes on those platforms. Because you know we're listening, but you know who else is listening, right? Am I right or wrong? Okay, thank you.
I honestly don't think I had more than a couple weeks to live. That's
received the gift of life, a double lung transplant made possible by an organ donor.
After I got my new lungs, I started doing things that I had never been able to do. I never knew that breathing could feel this good.
Steve climbs to honor his donor and to raise awareness for organ, eye, and tissue donation.
Wouldn't you like that when you left
Yeah, you're right.
that you could save a few lives on your way out?
There's some things now with being responsible for so many minds and being responsible on both the internet and terrestrial radio. You know, we're going to learn, and I had to learn the hard way. There's just certain things that you think, and there's just certain things that you just don't damn say. I love the question that the sister asked about Nick Cannon, but I just can't answer it on this platform. Y'all already know that. That's why I tell y'all to meet me at the Serious Cipher.
And blame themselves. I wish I was different. Weak bias hurts. Let's stop.
Yeah. Thanks for hearing me twice the first time.
WOL, Washington, W240 DJ, Washington, 95.9, WMMJ, HD3, Bethesda, WKYS, HD3, Washington, WPRS, HD3, Waldorf, and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com. Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
Thanks again to special guest is Professor Griff here from Public Enemy. Number 12, speak to Professor Griff, 800-450-7876. Well, like we talked about the program, folks, for self-defense and how to respond to violence, and you tell us about the magic wand. So I'll let you finish using that analogy.
Yeah, I was basically saying that if I had a red, black, and green magic wand, I could probably, I really would like to use it to just change the minds of our people and just put into practice everything that our ancestors have given us. And let's just stay focused to establish a system of justice on our own. Like the gentleman called just said, we're in their system. And he was correct when he said that this is their system of justice. And they're going to continue to judge us by a standard that they don't even judge themselves by.
So what do we do, Griff? I keep giving this question. What do we do? What's the solution for us?
I think we have to begin to build an infrastructure and begin to put the necessary people in place, Carl, that's truly going to speak for Black people. I was watching Joe Biden get elected, and I just said to myself, where are the Black voices? So many people are voting, but where are the actual Black voices? I'm not talking about the Stacey Abrams Black voices. I'm not talking about some other people that they selected. I'm not talking about the beautiful sister that did the poetry at the inauguration. I'm not talking about those Black voices. The real Black voices that speak up for Black people's concerns. So when I heard Joe Biden's Lift Every Voice program for Black people, I'm like, wow, that reminds me of Trump inviting Black clergymen and other people to the White House and treating them the way he treated them. I'm like, it's the same trick over and over again.
So he says business as usual.
Business as usual, Carl. The same smoke and mirrors. It's just a different individual playing the same game.
And the trick's on us.
The trick has always been on us. But Carl, the question now becomes, why haven't those people that we put our energy and support behind, Black people that we send to D.C. up on the Hill, on either side of the aisle, why don't they see the trick, know and understand the trick, and come speak to us and speak up and speak out about our concerns?
Well, it begs the question, too. Maybe they're part of the plan.
Exactly.
Well,
Carl,
play both ways.
Right, Carl just said it. Maybe all of the pieces on the chessboard are white.
800-450-7876. Sandra's the online phone calling from the ATL. Sandra, you're on with Professor Griff.
Hi. I just put it real quick. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that we cannot fathom the depths of Satan. We keep beating our heads against concrete, doing the same things over and over again when we know there's no justice in these people. I'll be listening to Sister Ava's town hall meeting tonight on separation, because I think that's the answer to our problems. We just have to separate because there's no living in peace with these people. It's just not going to happen. There's no living in peace with them. That's my solution to the problem. But I knew all along, I never thought that they were going to make that big payout to his family and have quote unquote in that system. I knew they had a rabbit that they were going to pull out of their hat. And that's my comment.
Thanks, Sandra. Griff, she says separation, and Sister Ava has been talking about that for quite some time. Now we have Stevie Wonder saying he's getting out of here. He's going to Ghana. It's just too much for him and his family and his children. And the other comedian, his name is
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. So, yeah, he's saying, so what is the answer to get out of here?
I think we need to look deeper into Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's definition. She said it's local and global system. So, but because we pick up and move somewhere else, we still have to deal with racism, white supremacy, because it's local and it's a global power system and dynamic, maintained by persons who classify themselves as white. But Sandra was absolutely correct. If we keep doing the same thing over and over and over, isn't that the definition of insanity? Because we keep doing the same thing over and over and we expect a different result. And we keep getting the same result. Separation might be the key.
And it's separation, stateside separation, to remove, figure out some states that we control, or because you say, it's global. So if we do like Stevie and go to Ghana, it's going to be there with us.
Well, I'm sure Stevie Wonder is going to still maintain a home here. And why is it that we can't do both? It's not either or. It's both and. You understand what I'm saying? I can move to Ghana tomorrow. I would still like to own my own home here. I'd still like to be able to come back when I feel like I want to come back, having a dual citizenship and a passport that could facilitate both.
Gotcha.
Other
450-7876. Michael's joining us now. He's on line one. He's calling from the district. Michael, you're on with Professor Griff.
Okay. Can you hear me, Carl?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Very good. Okay.
Turn your radio down because it's going to be confusing. We hear it in the background. So turn your radio down because we're on a delay.
You might not listen all the time. Okay, so very good. I don't never have a problem at all, but right now, what I'm feeling is we need, as far as the solution, is to be talking to lawyers. And I think it's an emergency, right? And I think that the person that we just left, the person that made money, that was getting settlements for us and on behalf of us, should have had more time, to answer the question, because I love Professor Griff. I love him. But he's not a lawyer, right? And this is like, to me, this is an emergency situation. So I need to all hands on deck to all people for you to go here and have some people that can get back on this situation, because it's so important. Now, what I'm feeling, and I sort of think that it's but it really doesn't matter, because if we don't demand that the FBI or everybody from Lebanon, even the Minnesota Attorney General, everybody should have known some of this, right? But at least make them tell you, give you a statement, because there's nothing that we do that they don't have a way to track back. It's always when it's on about them, they never fix themselves. So this is what I'm talking about. They can track things up all day, but they will never take. Let's just do that for ourselves. Trace back and make them answer. Make the FBI answer the question, yes or no. Do you know anything about this and this, right? Because it's all smoke and mirrors as far as I'm concerned. Because they know everything. They know everything.
All right.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, thanks, Michael. Good. He's talking about using the FBI, but in your estimation, are they part of the system as well?
The FBI is part of the system. The very same people he's asking us to go and get are manufactured by the system to be put in place to answer exactly what he's saying. They control the lawyers the same ones he's asking us to go get. They train and miseducate these particular lawyers. So when we go back to get them, all right, we still find ourselves in a trick bag. And then if we're having that discussion about the FBI and we don't know the history of the FBI, COINTELPRO, and even beyond that, wow, the FBI has been part of the system. The FBI is notorious for lying and locking black people up. So yeah, no, I wouldn't go get the FBI. Nah.
So what do we? And I keep asking the question. So the move is, who can we trust?
Ourselves. What do they say in the movie New Jack City? We all we got. And that, listen, called Dr. Amos.
The defense attorney. Yeah, hang on a second. They say the defense attorney has just filed a motion for a new trial based on the evidence that we're talking about today.
Wow.
That was pretty rapid. Yeah.
That was yeah, almost like it was planned. Yeah. Dr. Amos Wilson said, if we do not control. No, it does make you wonder. It really does. Wow. Dr. Amos.
Yeah, because this, like you said, this information was on the internet. And all they have to do is go to his Facebook profile. They'd have seen that on both sides, the prosecution and the defense.
Right. It's not like he took it down. It's not like he told the truth and he deemed it necessary to keep it up because he told the truth. He answered the question according to how he understood it. So was there no need for him to take it down? But now we probably need to ask him, and dig a little bit deeper. What is your motive? What was your ulterior motives? What were you thinking? Like, and then who are you for real?
That's another question. Who are you?
Exactly.
Yeah, but as we mentioned earlier about what happened with the Derek Chauvin trial, and as we talked about it, it's just that they've moved to have all the guilty verdicts thrown out. They're asking for a new trial.
Wow. Dr. Amos Wilson says if we don't control the punishments and rewards, we're going to continue to see these kind of things happening. Any one of our people knowing that we're going up in that space, it almost seems like you have to be squeaky clean and with the right mindset. Because if you knew this going in, bro, it's like, come on, man. You know this could have been a potential problem a little bit later on down the road. Come on.
And they're going to find it too. They're going to find it. They're going to find out.
Yes.
Unless anybody's going to do anything wrong with criminals now. They got so many cameras all over the place. You got to check yourself.
Exactly.
If you do something wrong and get away with it, you're not going to get away with it.
Right.
It's never going to happen. But listen, we got to take a break. The drums are warming up. We'll come back and more discussions. You want to speak to Professor Griff? Reach out to us 800-450-7876. Your call's next on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
All right, family. Y'all heard it. So I guess it's going to be another Derek Chauvin trial in the murder of George Floyd. Wow. The plot thickens, man. Wow. Wow. No, you're right, man. Truth bearer, unbelievable.
Pediatric dentist in Washington, D.C. Pediatricdentist.com. Sarah's
Wow.
Peace and Love Home Health Care. PeaceandLoveHHC.com.
Monique Hill. Yeah, you're right. All evil shall be removed.
Everyone loves shopping online. So I'm going to tell you what I tell my golf buddies when they buy clubs. Stop searching for coupon codes. Download Capital One Shopping to your computer. Capital One Shopping instantly searches for available coupon codes.
Ain't that something?
Plus, it's free. And you don't even need a Capital One card to use it. That's like hitting a hole in one without even trying. Capital One Shop. Stand a genius.
Wow.
What's in your wallet? Savings and available coupons vary. I learned patience from my adopted dad.
Jackson Harlem, what's good with you?
I have to start a band. A team for foster care. Can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrow, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change and generating possibilities.
So yeah, while we're waiting for them to come back, I think we're only on for another 45 minutes. I don't even think we're going to be able to get to the conversation that we came on here to have. Yeah, at 5, you need to be mindful of that, man.
Our communities and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Follow us on Instagram at WOLDC News.
And then now back to the Carl Nelson Show. Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
Interesting with this folks. This is a story that's been bubbling all across the internet, and especially on the conservative channels. Juror Brandon Mitchell in the Derek Chauvin trial, he apparently lied when he said he did not attend a rally or a protest rally, and they found out from the internet that he did. And this was actually it wasn't a rally put on by George Floyd's family. It was put on by the National Action Network to commemorate Dr. King's march, and that's what he attended. But he had a T-shirt on that says "Keep your knee off my neck" or something. And Attorney Dwight Pettit, who was here earlier, says that would be grounds for a mistrial. Well, moments ago, Derek Chauvin's attorney filed a motion asking the court to throw out his guilty verdicts and schedule a new trial. Now, the filing made by Attorney Eric Nelson cites juror misconduct, and this covers the whole fact of what Brandon Mitchell did, and failure of the court to sequester the jury as some of the reasons he's asking for a new trial. So, Griff, they've moved on it. The sequence in which this happened kind of makes you wonder if this was pre-planned. Your thoughts?
My thoughts exactly. Now that I'm kind of looking at it and I'm reading a few things on the break, it's like it just seemed like the right pieces are being moved and manipulated on the chessboard. And it almost seems like they're like, regardless of what move you make, we have a trump card. And this is the time to play it. And it's almost seemed like, okay, yeah, it's just happening the way they planned it to happen. It seems too smooth, Carl. It's you're looking at it, it's no seams. You understand what I'm saying? It's like...
and let me ask you this, Griff. How coincident it is that the jury has to be one, because it wasn't all black jury. It was, but it had to be a black man. So we can't point fingers at white folks for this. It had to be somebody who looks like us.
But
how convenient.
But that's part of the plan, Carl. If it was a plan, indeed, that's part of the plan. Choose one of them. They won't be that upset. Choose one of them. We might not have riots in the street. They may not, they may not be up in arms. Choose one of them, and then they have themselves to blame. So now this has become what they spin on the local news.
So they hope we'll turn against his brother now, because we can't say it was one of them who did it, but it's one of our own.
Letting the system off the hook. And back to what I said. Back to what I said earlier. The system is working fine. This is it.
And I'm sure the judge is going to call him in and ask him for a question, or he may just issue stuff for a new trial. Then we go back on for another new trial, so another month where people are just waiting with bated breath for a decision, and then they get off on the second trial. We never know, because we don't know how much tainted the first trial is. And then again, one of the key things that you mentioned, though, is some people haven't talked about. How does this affect the trial of the other police officers? What do you think? How this is going to affect them?
Well, way beyond that, Carl, speaking to what you just said, how about this? How about Derek Chauvin gets off and then they punish juror number 52? jury misconduct, they fine him and put him in jail. How ironic is that? And then, based on this, the other three get off. And I know you say, well, how is that possible? You think this is the only trick that they have up their sleeve? How many rabbits you think the magician bring to the daggone gig? It ain't the only rabbit.
Wow. I got a tweet question for you, Griff. Ava says, please ask Professor Griff if he thinks a new trial would render a not guilty verdict, and if this is also a way for us to be suspicious of one another.
Yes, it is undercurrent. Of course, it's almost like, yeah, definitely be suspicious and don't trust one another, even in their system. And if it was a new trial, do I think he would get off? No, I really don't. It's just too much evidence. Too many professionals stepped up to the plate. Police officers stepped up to the plate and says, no, we don't train like that. We don't operate like that. That's outside of. And he was basically cannon fodder. You know, that he crossed that thin blue line and they said, look, we can't cover this one. And I think he was left out there to dry.
Yeah, but if they get another bite of the apple, do you think they'll rally around him? Because, you know, some of them did, you know, testify against him, as you mentioned, but then a whole bunch of them, you could believe that wanted him to see, even though they knew he did it, they knew he did it, they saw he did it, they still want him to get off.
And see, that's that mindset, Carl, that I am trying to get people to understand, that until we understand racism, white supremacy, we're not going to be able to kind of checkmate that mindset, Carl. You're seeing what happened right here on TV. You know he's guilty, but yet you're still coming to lie in a court of law. Wow.
And Tweeter says the evidence is not going to change the facts of the case. And this is what the lawyer was saying. He was just dealing with the facts of the case.
Right, exactly.
So, you know, he's going to be retried. We're going to see that 9 minutes over and over again. But this time it's a different panel. And because, you know, as an attorney took one time, it's sort of a crapshoot with the jury. You never know who you're going to get.
Exactly.
It only takes one. You know, it only takes one. And they got it right this time. Will they get it right the second time?
And then what is that going to say? I think Carl said it earlier, the caller from Long Beach. This is setting a precedence. It's like, what happens now to the vetting process for everyone else in every other trial of this magnitude?
Well, you know, we talked about this too, when especially with the OJ trial. After OJ got off, they called it jury nullification. To the jury, because they're black, they saw the evidence, but they disregarded it and freed OJ. So you had brothers who were in the county jail in LA, and they were saying that they probably got some extra time. What they call it juice time, because OJ got out. So, you know, the prosecutors were there were pushing to give them, since OJ got out, you guys going to pay for it. We're down in the county jail. So I'm just wondering if the same thing would happen in this case. I
think the ripple effect is going to happen. And I do think now it's going to revigorate police departments all across this country. And they're going to be talking about this. When they finish spinning this on the news, in the news cycle, with the news feeds, both on social media and on the news channels, all the rest of the alphabet boys, when they get a hold of this one, they're going to spin this until we get tired of hearing it.
And we're going to know more about the Juror 52, Brandon Mitchell, than we ever wanted to know. Because now they're going to take a deep dive in his background to see if he was complicit or something, or he was just ignorant. And the fact is, he shows up on Good Morning America. He shows up on TV. No other juror shows up, but he shows up and you know, complaining about how it was tiring emotionally, you know, tiring for him to go in day after day on the. You wonder what is he angling for? Is he trying to get a book or something? Or because none of the other jurors have showed up, because this is a very important case. You know, they saw this trial, and you know they didn't want to go on TV and expose themselves. So he goes on TV and exposes himself. Then we find out about this in his background. Makes you want to go,
Exactly. And I think, Carl, that they are going to show us the process that they're going to take him through to continue to instill fear, even on that level. This is what you go through to disrupt our system of justice.
And I'm glad you mentioned system of justice, because it seems like, you know, we see what they do. We saw, you know, son Rodney King. We see so many of these trials, but all the time they get away, except this one. And the evidence was overwhelming. The whole world saw him kill this man on TV, and so there's no way they could refute the charge. But they have to come up with some technicality, and I'm siding with you on this. That this move here was probably the whole card. They knew what it is, and they made the move now. And as we talked about, they're calling for a new trial, and they do have, as the attorney told us, they do have grounds. Brother just tweeted, Griff, and he says Brandon Mitchell needs some insurance policy.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have someone escalate this thing where he needs to be put in a witness protection program, and they tuck him away somewhere in Iowa. You understand what I'm saying? Pay him off and just say goodbye. And then 2 years from now, Brandon Mitchell ends up dead.
Or it comes out with a new ID. But again, and I think you mentioned it earlier, they always use one of us.
Exactly.
Muddy the waters.
Exactly. The slave breaker wasn't necessarily the one whipping the slaves. He got one of us to whip the slaves, breeding that fear of one another, that hatred for one another in us. And this is, you know, what they do. And they're going to play this out and ring this out in front of us. And we're going to see every bit of dirt of this man's life. It's things that's probably not even there right now. Now they're going to go into his friends, his family, his girlfriend. What was you doing at the rally? What rally was it? You understand? Were you one of the violent ones? Where did you buy the t-shirt from? Who manufactured the t-shirt? How much did you pay for it? Why did you choose to wear that t-shirt? Whose knee and whose neck were you talking about on the t-shirt? So let's get used to these questions that's going to be asked.
Yeah, we're going for another break. But, you know, the sad part about this, Griff, it goes to the fact of unity. As a Pan-Africanist, you can understand that which unity is the key that we need.
Right.
And now here's total distrust. We can't trust each other because we couldn't trust his brother. He let us down. And they're going to underscore that. You're going to hear that, you know, this is going to be the underlying theme going out. It was one of them. You're going to see his pictures,
right,
you know, blown up on the evening news. We got to take a break, and I'll let you respond to that on the other side.
Okay.
If you want to join this conversation with Professor Griff, hit us up at 800-450-7876. Take your calls after a short break on FM 95.9 AM 1450 WOL.
The plot thickens, man. Just when you thought you've heard it all. Wow. Yeah.
Leaders like Stacey Abrams and pioneering activist Angela Davis.
Black women are making a difference and changing the world.
With musical performances by Jasmine Sullivan, Avery Sunshine, Leandria Johnson, DeBrad and more.
Forgive me, y'all, but have Go This Crap got me hot. Okay.
Sunday, May 16th at 9 on TV1. This is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality,
you're right, Quan. Do not be so quick to celebrate, man.
Consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate.
I remember one time, I don't gamble, I don't play numbers, I don't gamble on nothing. I don't even do stocks, trades, none of that, because I just don't gamble. I had a dream one time I played the lottery and won. And then woke up and didn't believe that I was having a dream, because I didn't believe that even though I had the numbers and the ticket in my hand, I won. That's how much I don't believe in a system that has historically deceived black people. They want us to believe that we don't see what we actually see right in front of our eyes.
I felt so much better after my son told me Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out. When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
1450 WOL.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show. Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
I'm actually rolling with us, folks. I guess this is Professor Griff from the Public Enemy, a form of information. If you would like to speak to him, 100-450-7876. What we like to was ask, we were talking about the mistrust that we talk about unity and Africans. It's always unity, but there's always people who are trying to, disrupt that unity. You mentioned the FBI and COINTELPRO, but then you have people who look like us who are part of that too. And this is going to feed into that. I just wanted to get your response to that.
The sour taste that it's going to put in the mouth of all of us that speak up and speak out for us speaking against racism, white supremacy, to replace it with a system of justice. I think the wound is going to, it's going to be deep. The wound is going to be deep simply because what are you guys protesting for? What do you guys want? What are you guys marching and doing all this, doing all of this for? We allowed you in the system, and this is what you do. And that's going to be one of the things that they spin, Carl. And they're going to make sure that they remind us at every single stop. I think one of your other callers have said it. This is not the first time something like this has happened, Carl. But they're going to take this one and ring it out before the world. They have to. They have to.
And again,
No, go on.
They're going to make it. One of us made a mistake. But you know what? One of the things, because he wanted to talk about is rap killing hip hop. He wanted to get in the entertainment industry. We talked a little bit about that before. We ran out of time. But what do you mean by that? Is rap killing hip hop?
Well, it's funny that you should ask that at this particular stage of the conversation, simply because I'm curious where this brother was brought up and what moved him and motivated him to end up at a rally with that T-shirt on. Did music, or did one of the Black organizations that were speaking up for justice for Black people, did it get to him to the point where he understood certain things and he ended up at a rally? So I'm just curious. When I first came on, and this conversation shows us today, Carl. Could you bear witness to that? Yeah. Okay. So it shows us. So I just said to myself.
Accident, by the way, because I know you know that.
Say that again.
I said nothing happens by accident.
Right. Exactly. So then, all the time we were having this conversation, I'm thinking, what music helped raise that brother? And if it was conscious music, then, bruh, you got to do better than that with what's been put in your hands. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if it was this other music that they control that's causing us to kill one another, and this low vibratory frequency in the music, then I can see him doing exactly what he's doing right now and setting himself up to be manipulated and controlled by the system.
Griff, can you explain the different vibrations? I'm not sure many of our people understand that. They just listen to music and they think it's all the same.
Well, my thing is, Carl, if you ask anyone on their first date with the woman that they're in love with right now, married to, have been dating for 30 years or live with, they created an atmosphere in order to date her. They created an atmosphere when they invited her over. It sets the mood and sets the tone. You trying to get to know a woman, you're not going to put on MOP or Onyx, you understand, or DMX. You inviting her over, you going to put on Luther or somebody, Frankie Beverly, May, somebody, if you want to go dancing or whatever. If you want to have a good time, Earth, Wind, and Fire. But you want to set the mood and the tone, the spirit, the vibrations that are in the music now are directed and aimed towards our lower energy centers, Carl. All right, and the spirit of the music with the lyrics over top of the music, the tribal music, energizing African tones and patterns and beats with the European word over top of it causes cognitive dissonance. And then when we talk about programming the frequency to a 432 frequency, which may be a frequency of harmony and peace and love, well, they've changed that vibratory frequency to a frequency of violence and death in the culture. So now the culture imploded and it turned on itself. And this is why we're getting the death of our hip hop artists today.
But Griff, you're an audiophile, so you can listen to it. You can tell the difference. I would dare say that most of our people couldn't tell the difference. It's just a song, and if the beat's right, they're patting their feet or nodding their heads. You know, they really don't understand the difference.
It was designed that way, Carl. The average person can't tell the 432 hertz to 441. They or the 530 something. They can't. The average person can't tell. But you know what it is, Carl? You feel it. Hearing the song doesn't necessarily move you to the dance floor. It's a feeling that it gives you. And then whatever's been deposited in you, that particular thing, way beyond your consciousness, that thing responds to the frequency and the vibration.
All right, let me ask you this then, because it seems like a lot of young white kids are really into hip-hop. And they're the ones buying the streaming and buying the records. Does it have the same effect on them as it has on our children?
To a degree, yes, and to a certain degree, no. What they're doing, Carl, what you see them doing is they're imitating us. If we didn't lay out the blueprint, they wouldn't know what to do. So in most cases, they're imitating us. Right on to the point where if you find some rappers died from overdose of drugs, taking certain kinds of drugs, doing certain kind of things, you'll find some white rappers done checked out of here the same way.
And having said that, could they discern the music could they discern that the music is taken to a lower place, a different place than where they should be?
No, they can't tell. It happens to us more frequently because we have this thing called melanin. And our vibration is totally different than theirs. And we have to understand that particular dynamic. We respond to sounds different because the inner ear is lined with melanin. We hear things different. The DJ could be playing, a nice heavy African oriented drum pattern, and the DJ can stop playing and we still hear it because it's resonating in our cranium. It's resonating and it's bouncing off the melanin and it's resonating with us. They don't have that experience, Carl. They imitate us.
Well, let me ask you this then. When you turn in your product, your finished product into the studio, into the record company, do they ever try to remix it or recalibrate the frequency in it? And can you tell if they do that?
That was the standard practice, and none of us checked for that, Carl. None of us took the final product and went and tested it. We didn't have the apparatus. We didn't have the instruments, the machines in order to do that. Now there's software you can download. And you can play your song and it'll pick up what frequency it is. It'll pick up certain key to what key is what song is in. There's software that do this now. So it's a little bit more sophisticated, Carl.
Wow. Hold on a second. We got some. I see Ande's joining us. I think from the Watch Prophecies on line 3.
Oh, okay.
Well, how you feeling, man? I've been wanting to speak to this brother. I never, in my 50 years in this business, never got an opportunity to meet him.
Oh, give thanks.
I always loved to listen to him because he had so much to say. And I wanted to speak to him about when he said rap was destroying hip-hop.
Mm-hmm.
I say rap had a baby called hip-hop, not hip-hop had a baby called rap. Hip-hop was a new culture dropped on us from the 60s. We were pushing black culture. And suddenly there was a thing called hip-hop that was pushing another culture that crushed our black culture. But it's the hip-hop industry that's destroying our people. that's paying millions of dollars to destroy them. Rap was free. Hip-hop put it in 16 bars and locked it up. Rap was free to do it any kind of way you wanted it. It had no restrictions. It was pure creativity. That's what we started it. So I don't think it's rap killing hip-hop. I think it's hip-hop killing rap.
Well, something that you guys, by the way, greetings, good brother. As an elder of mine, in this, it was something that you guys set in motion, and you guys were poets. We just took what you guys gave us, and we became masters of ceremonies, MCs. And what we did was rap in the context of a global spirit, and we just called it higher infinite power, healing our people, and that was hip hop. What you did, you guys set in motion earlier, is something very different than what these young cats are doing today. So, and to a degree, you're absolutely correct, but it's just not the same thing today. You guys was rapping, and we took that from you guys. What these kids are doing today is something totally different, and it's killing us, culturally, killing us. I don't know how that happened.
I was trying to meet this young rapper. His name is Mozzie. He's from Sacramento. And some of the youngsters was telling me, they say, when this cat started coming up, the murder rate doubled in his time. And I said, well, I want to meet him. And everybody said, what do you want to meet him for? Because if he can double the murder rate, that's the one who can stop it.
Well, that's okay, Amde. We got to take a short break. Stay with us, Amde. Hold on for short. Folks, with Professor Griff and now Amde from the Watts Prophets, the original rappers are with us. You can join us too, 800-450-7876. Your call's next on FM 95.9 and AM 1450. WOL, where information is power.
So, family, that was one of the brothers from the Watts, from the Last Poets, one of the original Last Poets. And we have to be mindful, family, and this is a lesson for us all, including Professor Griff today. We have to be mindful how we handle our elders. Now, I could have took offense to that and chopped that up and did a whole bunch of things with that, with a mean, hateful, evil spirit behind it. But you don't do that to our elders, family. All right? You let them have their say, you're quiet, and then you speak to, and you give the credit where credit is due. All right? And at the end of the day, always give them credit, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And ironically enough, I'm going to let y'all see this. I had a quote right here of the Last Poets. And I didn't know he was going to come on. And I was already going to quote him. Or quote them, pardon me.
Life-saving aid and helping rebuild lives. And with every act of courage, faith, and love.
I just want y'all to know, and I'm being very serious about this, Quan. I'm glad that y'all are the ones, and y'all have chosen me like I've chosen y'all to be on here to support me, even with the little things that y'all say. All right, let me get back to this. I'll be right back.
Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. We have Professor Griff from the Public Enemy, Minister of Information, joining us on the phone. We have from the Watts Prophets, Brother Amde. Before we get back to them, though, let me just remind you, coming up in the next few days, you can hear from Pan-Africanist Baba Amafika, also chematologist Dr. Charles Finch, and holistic Dr. Scott Whitaker. They're all going to be here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450, WOL, where information is power. Before we left, Brother Amde was speaking, so Amde, I'll let you finish your thought.
Well, I can't remember what that is. I'm 81, but I can tell you this. I was so happy to hear that. Brother Griff talking about technology and how they have changed these different rhythms and different stuff like that. Because, see, we keep taking our youngsters back. In other words, we make movies like Harriet Tubman. Well, she couldn't help us today. They didn't have a cell phone. Even Malcolm would have trouble dealing with us today. They can give us the courage and the direction. But today, we have to deal with this high tech. I don't hear any black leaders speaking about the power of how they sent us all after that chicken sandwich. I don't see any black people talking about the power. If you watch the rhythm in this music that this drum machine that controls behavior is doing to our children. No one is explaining this to me. None of our leadership is talking up to date, up to right now, high tech. It goes on and how it is affecting us in our whole community. So I was so happy, brother, to see that we're beginning to talk about that. And you've been talking about it for quite a while. And I started off 50 years ago talking about technology.
Right.
And I watched it take us over in increments. You know, like you said, when we're watching rap develop. When we started rapping, we called black women sister, queen, honey, sweet thing, pretty legs. All of a sudden, we watched the whole conversation change to beat, whore, lot lizard. This all became on the radio suddenly. And when I was a kid, you couldn't even say SHIT on the radio. But I watched it change to where you can say MF and anything you want. And it was completely corrupted. By the way, public enemy, not public enemy, NWA got about the police from the Watts property. We had a hot rod policemen zipping through the ghetto streets in jet mobiles, trampling niggas, killing babies, beating sisters in the miscarriages, killing us whenever they want to. Scared. We did that in the 67. And if you listen to the whole poem, you'll see where they got it from.
Right. Yeah, I think it's beautiful the way you lay that out. But I would like to get you my book, The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop.
I'd like to get your phone number. What's your phone number?
My phone number is 678.
I can put you guys together. Unless if you want to give your number out on there, but I can hook up with him.
I don't mind. Everybody and their grandmother got my phone number. 678-557-2919. 678-557-2919.
2919. I'll be calling.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to it. I always wanted to rap with you.
Oh, give thanks, good bro.
All right. Thanks, Ande. Yeah, we gotta have a show with both of you brothers on talking about rap and the music because
that would be beautiful.
You should have him on your show. Yeah. Oh yeah, because that's where it all started. Anyway, we got some folks want to talk to you. 800-450-7876. Joe's in Philly. He's on line one. Joe, you on with Professor Griff?
Yes. Good afternoon. Good evening, rather.
Good evening.
I have a couple questions regarding the juror. What effect will that have, basically, if the trial is declared a mistrial or if a new trial comes about? What effect will that have on Reverend Al Sharpton? Since the event where he showed up was an Al Sharpton rally, and I'm just thinking that Al Sharpton, he'll also be discredited, even though he didn't have anything directly to do with it, just the mere fact that it was at his rally, which wasn't specifically for George Floyd, but it was just a rally that he holds every year in commemoration of the March on Washington. But I think he will be tarnished regardless what happens, and I guess ultimately maybe the civil rights movement as it's now taking place within the country will also be impacted. But nevertheless, very, very troubling course of events. Okay, gentlemen, have a good evening.
I think that gentleman has a point. If they stick the knife in 6 inches, it's going to affect a lot of us going in, and they'll begin to pull it out 1 inch at a time. It depends on how long they want the pain to last and how long they want to instill the fear. So I understand exactly what the gentleman is saying. He has a point.
He does. And a way to tarnish everybody with one stroke. You know, get rid of everybody. Make it suspicious for everybody. If we weren't suspicious before. 800-450-7876. Hawker's calling from Hawaii. It's on line 4. Hawker, you're on with Professor Gray.
Hey, Carl, thanks again. In Hawaii, I just got here to Hawaii, man. They play hip hop like it's nuts. They play hip hop here like it's they're into it. Now, my thing is that I grew up to hip hop, right? And we had this conversation call for a couple of calls that we made that there's a psychological thing there, manipulation. That's how I feel. That's how I felt when Trump became president, right? I think grabbing the mind or having the mind, the ability to capture the mind, is more dangerous than any gun, right? When we're talking about psychological warfare, psychological manipulation, that's more damaging than physical force, right? You can go out there on a battlefield and fight physically, but the enemy using psychological ways to destroy a person, right? When it came to hip-hop has made it such of an influence on the generations back then. It saved us. Jay-Z spoke on the drugs, but that don't mean because you're listening to it, I'm going to do drugs or sell drugs. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? As a kid, I'm listening, developing a business. Biggie Smalls talk about public housing, right? If you look at all the MCs from those times, they spoke against all the stuff that we were going through. Most of the videos is in front of a bodega, a rundown bodega, right? People come into our industry. They use our music, they use our money, but they never use drugs. They never use guns. And they take their money and rebuild their neighborhoods. They come in and feature. We're the artists, and you have folks that say, hey, I want to feature with you. But they slide away from the drugs, the guns, and all of that. It seems like when it comes to us, that drugs, the crime, and all that stuff is stick to us when we do the hip hop music.
Right.
And we have got to get away from that. The radio, listen to all the radio local shows. They're also involved. They're the ones who play the music on the actual radio stations. Nipsey Hussle and Jay-Z came up with a song. They will not play that song because it builds awareness, right, on how to build and how to improve ourselves. So the industry itself, right, would go towards the local radios because they're the ones who are not just playing the music, it's also infiltrating the minds of these young generations right now with the music that they're listening to.
Okay.
So it's a great discussion. I want to ask the doc there, the guests that you have online, on this psychological stuff that they're using. What's his thing about that?
Hawker, the guest is Professor Griff from Public Enemy. I don't know if you recognized his voice.
Okay.
But that's who he is.
Well, he said a lot, Carl. Let me just say this: the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. That's Steve Biko. This whole idea of him being in Hawaii, I wanted to ask him: are they playing hip hop or rap? Because hip hop and rap.
They're actually playing all the new stuff that's played right now, and that's the stuff I don't listen to.
Okay, so
Pandora, I YouTube. I follow all my artists from back in the days like Nas.
Okay, I got you.
Jay-Z.
I got you. So they're playing a mixture of things, then, is what you're saying. We have to be able to understand the culture that we set in motion. If hip hop is DJing, MC, graffiti, breakdancing, and then to synthesize all that is knowledge of self, we got to understand the difference between hip hop and rap. And then you mentioned the fact that there's a Nipsey Hussle song and Jay-Z song that's conscious. And you said they are not playing it.
Right.
Okay, so why don't we play it? Let me just ask that question. Can I get an answer to that?
I think here's my deal. I told Carl, here's a great idea. I told Carl that in this industry, we can set up something for ourselves. So say that you're an artist and you play a song, but I have a business and I need music to talk about my products. I could take that artist song and put it to showcase my business. Right now in the industry, the business are dominating. They're selling products using the hip hop industry. They're using it for real estate. They're using it for all the latest gadgets, the phones and everything. They're using us. They're using our magic. Where we can have a platform. Say like you come out with a song, sir, and I have my business, and I take your song, and you said, hey, you can use it there in Hawaii for $5 a spin to display my business. You get that money, and you can invest it in the community, and so on and so forth. I think that'll be a great idea because now people are going to see that's going to be making money. And they're going to want to come in, or they're going to want to be, hey, can I feature with you?
Right.
And that's when us as, this hip-hop culture, we can say, no, we ain't having that. This is our art. All these artists right now, they're no longer MCs. I told Carl, these artists like Jay, Nas, and all these guys are literally art. They're collectible items. And
we got about a minute left, so I want to give Professor Griff a chance to respond to what you said, Hawker. But thank you for reaching out to us from Hawaii. Griff?
Yeah, I think he was on point. Black Dot said it in his book, Hip Hop Decoded. He said they take the lowest essence of what we have to offer in our culture and they give it maximum exposure. And this is what he's witnessing. All the things that he talked about, we've already set in motion. We've already been doing this thing, building our own economy within inside of the economy. So I understand where he's going. I think brothers need to take a Professor Griff class and catch up a little, that's all. We put that in books already and we've implemented these things and checkmated some of it. Yeah, but Carl, you and I got to get back together to discuss this.
So how can folks, we got some folks who didn't get a chance to ask you questions. How can they reach you?
They can call me at 678-557-2919. My email address is seriousmindsinfo@gmail.com. I'm on the gram. I'm on social media right across the board, just at Professor Griff. They can reach me.
All right. Thanks, Professor Griff. Thanks for the information.
Oh, give thanks, good bro. Thank you, Carl. Yes, sir.
All right, folks. We got to get out of here. Stay strong, stay positive, and please stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock right here on FM 95.9 and AM 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Brandell Bone, Mr. Double B, thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate you. Quan, see what I got to go through? It's a beautiful thing, though. Hey. Yeah, I'm going to go sit still and be quiet for a minute so I can decompress, family, because, yeah, it's a lot when you have to deal with different people's energies. Yeah. All right, family, love y'all to life. And like I was saying, thanks for all the support. All right. Thanks for being here when y'all see my notification come through. Thanks for coming through to lend y'all support. Y'all don't really understand how much I need that. I could do a show, record it, and just put it up and not interact with anyone on here. I choose not to do that kind of format. I choose to do this format so we can interact with one another. I got to get ready to get out of here. I love y'all to life. All right, family. Yeah, love y'all to life, man. I gotta go, man. Serious minds for serious minds. Seriously. All right, Quan, we'll talk. All right. All right, I got that Guns N' Roses popping off this Saturday. All right, but we will talk. Peace, fam.
The Serious Minds Brain Tonic was created to sharpen the mind by protecting cells and increasing neurotransmitters associated with learning and memory. This is the Serious Minds Brain Tonic. the resurrection formula. This male reproductive tonic elixir is the resurrection you've been looking for. It is a stimulating sexual tonic with mild androgen-like effects that is nourishing to the reproductive system. You can order them at www.professorgriff.me and www.seriousmindsinstitute.com. Just call 678-557-2919. Your health is your wealth. Peace.
Do your children love learning? At the Institute for Self-Mastery, we've been homeschooling for 10 years. We didn't just hop on this because of what's going on now. Check us out, the Institute for Self-Mastery, ismhomeschool.org. Peace.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In today's climate, being safe is priority number one. With crime on the rise, we're all left with this magical question: how can I be safe and protect my family? Well, Professor Griff is offering a course that's similar to laser tag, but it's for adults. This safe and firearm-free course will train you in real-life scenarios so that you can avoid being a victim. This course is growing in popularity as a date night out. Add fun and excitement back into your love life, and the reviews are incredible. For more information, call this number below.